Live from the Triangle, this is WNCN News at 6.
Heavy rain falling in our area this evening.
This is a live look at Interstate 40 near Wade Avenue. Good evening. I'm Melanie Sanders.
And I'm Sean Maroney. Thanks for joining us. For the latest on the storm, let's start tonight with Chief Meteorologist Wes Hohenstein. Wes.
Good evening to you. You know, the first 3 days of this week, it was all about heat and 90s. Today, it's all about green on the radar. It started raining after lunchtime, and it's pretty much been nonstop since then. Heavy at times. We had one severe thunderstorm warning about 1:30. Then we didn't have anything but heavy rain and some flooding. We had our second thunderstorm warning just a couple of minutes ago. And here it is. It's the tail end. You see that heavy downpour, all that red over Chapel Hill. So that's the severe thunderstorm. Not only heavy rain, but possibly some strong winds. And that's going to move into parts over Durham and Durham County, up toward Bahama, and in southwestern parts of Granville County. As you can see, most everyone is getting some rain. I'll put everything into motion for you. And you can see everything's moving kind of from south to north. Bigger picture shows there are pockets of heavy rain, and then there are pockets of just some light rain and drizzle. But, I mean, it's everywhere. In fact, we go big picture. It's all the way down in South Carolina. There's the back edge back toward Asheville. So all of this has got to push through before we even think about drying out. And that's not going to happen until early Friday morning. Until 8 o'clock tonight, we all still remain under a severe thunderstorm watch. We'll have to watch out for those damaging winds and maybe even an isolated tornado. Haven't talked a lot about that today, but it's still a possibility. Temperatures aren't going to move much out of the 60s in the next 12 hours, and the rain will continue. So we'll talk about when we'll see the sun again and what your weekend looks like in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Wes. We'll see you then. That wet weather causing trouble in parts of the Triangle tonight. Our Steve Sprasia has the latest on the conditions in Wake County.
Well, Melanie, we're on I-40 right now, just passing exit 285, and we're heading northbound on, westbound on I-40. The rain is causing a little bit of trouble on the roads. It's slowing down traffic a little bit. And as Wes indicated, when the storms first came in, there was a lot of concern as they approached because these storms, especially as they made their way towards North Carolina, had a history of winds and lightning and even an occasional tornado. There was one early this morning in Charlotte about 6 o'clock this morning. And as these storms came in, they came in about midday. They started around here early, and that was the bad part. The good part was, for the most part, the worst thing we've seen was just heavy rain.
The afternoon's heavy downpours caused small streams and drainage ditches to quickly fill to capacity. Overburdened catch basins in low-lying areas like on this portion of Interstate 40 eastbound in Cary caused minor flooding. It slowed down the traffic for a while. Scattered power outages shut down traffic signals like at this intersection in Cary. Businesses were also affected by the sudden lack of electricity. Folks did what they could to keep things running normally, like at this Cary chiropractor's office.
May not be able to use my computer or print anything off on the machines, but we can still see our patients. We've got, obviously the windows open and blinds and everything, so there are some therapies that they can do themselves, and even some that I have to do with them. It's, I could still assist them.
And there are still sort of scattered outages out there. Just before we went on the air, we checked on Duke's outage map online and saw that there were still crews out there. Most of the outages are very minor in nature right now, only involving a few customers here and there, but they're still out there, and the crews are working to get them restored. Now you're up to date on the situation with the storm. Live from Interstate 40, I'm Steve Sprasia, WNCN.
All right, Steve, thank you. So this was near the Rougemont area. We're talking about 10 miles southeast of Roxborough. So literally as the crow flies, we can kind of draw that in. So we go down here 10 miles, and that's about where it is. So we're kind of on the bottom edge of that circle I've drawn. So that's where it is now. So what I want to do is let's put a future scan back on this, and I'll turn off that mile marker. So let's kind of project where this is going to go over the course of the next 30 minutes. So we'll turn on future scan. You'll see some things change. All right. But now keep an eye on the clock in the top left part of your screen. And as we go to about, let's stop it at 7:15. And there's not a lot of real estate out there, but this is going to continue to move off to the north. And by about 7:17, that's where we expect it to be. As far as when Person County will be in the clear, I suspect, and that's right on time, you can see that's the Virginia border. That's kind of at the corner of the Virginia border, Person County, and Granville County. And just like we did a second ago, we connect the dots, and this is where this possible tornado is going to go. So let's talk about some of the towns. So this is going to be north of Rougemont. Let's go back to real-time radar. And there we go. And so we are north of Rougemont, in between Timberlake and Mariah, south of Searle. And for those of you who drive in and out of Roxborough, let's say you head over to Granville County, to Oxford, you usually drive on Highway 158. So this is going to cross over Highway 158 over the next few minutes. It looks like it is east and northeast of Highway 501. So that comes up out of Durham all the way up to Roxborough. So if you've ever driven that, so we're talking about a possible tornado southeast of Roxborough. We're north of Durham. We are north of Bahama. We are now north of Rougemont, south of Highway 158, east of Highway 501. If any of these locations sound familiar to you, or if you know someone driving, I know it's still getting home time. If you know anyone driving in that area, you have friends and family, please let them know that we have a tornado warning in that exact area. And what makes it even more concerning is it's the same thunderstorm cell that possibly already produced a tornado 30 minutes ago in Durham, and we have damage reports to back it up. It's been knocking down trees as well as knocking down some power lines. In fact, here's a new power line. Here's a new damage report where trees and power lines down all over Durham County. This was 2 miles southwest of Durham. And this is some more power lines down along Hope Valley Road. And this was, again, associated with the damage in Durham. And now, Anchors, back to you.
All right, Chief Meteorologist Wes Hohenstein, thank you again. As Wes was saying, this storm has moved up from Durham, and there is damage reports in Durham right now.
Yeah, let's go to our Steve Sbragia, who's got some video out there of the damage in Durham. Steve?
Mel, we're on University Road right now, right near Hope Valley Road in the 2800 block. And as you can see behind me, there has been some significant damage. Some of the power lines have been knocked down, some telephone poles have been taken down, and a lot of trees. As Michael Bernard, our photographer, spins around, you can see a huge tree that came down and ended up on this house over here. The police have blocked off this section of 2800 block of University Road right now. They're not letting anybody down there. This storm came through very quickly. Wes was talking about it a bit earlier, explaining that they were beginning to get damage reports. They thought that tornado would touch down. It was about 30 minutes ago. I see some folks walking up the road right now, and I'm going to try and get down to them and see if I can talk to them a little bit about what happened. Hey, folks, were you here during all this when it happened? Okay, come on up here. I want to talk to you if I could. We've got 3 people walking down the road right now, and we'll start with you, sir. What is your name?
Logan.
Logan what?
Wood.
Logan Wood. Come on up this way, Logan, a little bit. Tell me what happened and what you experienced.
What I experienced was I was in my room, and I just heard stuff starting to smack my windows in the house. Looked out the window, seen stuff flying, all of that, and we just hurried and got into the basement.
Now, did you know that there was a tornado approaching? Had you heard any alerts on your smartphone or on the radio or the television, anything like that?
I knew there was a tornado warning until 6:30.
You had no idea that it was coming this way?
No, had no idea it was coming.
How quickly did it pass through, Logan?
It was over in like 2 minutes.
And once it was over, what happened? You crawled out of the basement, and what did you see? Or describe what you're...
This. Yeah. This. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Logan. Let me ask these folks here. What is your name, sir?
Randy Beach.
Randy Beach. Tell me what happened when you were home. How did you first get alerted to all this?
We didn't get an alert. We all of a sudden the wind just picked up really strong, and like Logan said, stuff started flying. I didn't need an alert. I said, man, this looks like a tornado. And I said, everybody to the basement. And we just ducked down into the basement till it was over with.
How much damage was to your property, sir?
It's tree limbs all over the place, and it didn't really hit our house. Nothing hit our house. The windows were kind of rattling a little bit. Thank God none of them broke, but you could hear it coming. You know how they say it sounded like a freight train? It really didn't. All you heard was rumbling.
But you did hear a noise. Did you actually look out the window and see the stuff flying around, or did you just realize when you heard that noise, I got to get the shelter?
Both.
Now, it doesn't look like this is too wide a swath here, maybe a couple of 100 yards wide for this thing that came through here.
Yeah, it seems like it just went down University Drive, and because other places weren't even touched by anything. So.
At this point, what are you going to do? Obviously, there's no electricity. Is your home livable right now? Is there any holes in the roof or windows broken?
The roof looks, as far as what I can see when I was standing out across the street here, I was looking at the roof and it looked all right. I haven't seen no shingles blown off or anything.
So you still got a place to stay tonight?
Yeah.
All right, very good. As you've been walking around, you've been here in the neighborhood, walking around the neighborhood. Any other damage besides what we're looking at right now in this small area?
Not that I know of.
All right, Mr. Beach, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you and your kinfolk were all safe and they turned out all right. As
everybody else around here safe.
It does appear that way. If I kind of squat down, University Road goes up in sort of a little bit of a hill. I can see the police have blocked off the other end, maybe another quarter mile down. And
there's damage to the side street right in front of our house. Up that street, there's tree limbs down. There's a tree on a house.
What street is that, ma'am?
It's a little cul-de-sac right there to the right.
Do you know if there's been any injuries?
No, I think everybody's fine.
No, so far it sounds like everybody's okay.
And one of the most serious things right now is you've got all these lines that are hanging down in a low area, all these lines that at one point were energized.
Right.
Yeah.
So exactly. The power pole right outside our bedroom window is cracked in half.
So you guys need to be real careful when you go back that you don't get tangled up on those wires that get close to them.
Oh, hell no.
All right, what is your name, ma'am?
Amy Wood.
Amy Wood, thank you very much. Again, we appreciate the time that you're taking. You too, right?
Not a problem. I was concerned.
Thank you very much. Now, we're still taking a look here at you can see some of the damage that happened here.
This was my Aunt Margaret's house when I was a child. Look at that great big tree that came up from the root. Oh my God!
It landed on their roof over there.
Yeah, it did. Man, I got to go see if there's.
You're getting some of the reaction firsthand from some of the folks who live in this area who've gone out, taken a look, and seen the kind of damage. Now, this will show you perhaps how strong the winds were. This device right here belonged to part of this thing. This is an insulator, all right? Goes on top of it like that. This was pulled right from the pole by the winds. And you can see these really long bolts here. They've got to be almost a foot long. These bolts hold this thing to the power to the telephone pole, the utility pole, and they were pulled right out by the force of the wind. They came crashing to the ground, and the insulator also came crashing to the ground. So you can see the force of the winds. Obviously, a little bit later, we'll be able to tell exactly what that storm was when the National Weather Service comes out and decides it was an EF0, an EF1, an EF4, or whatever. It does not appear at this point that anybody was hurt at all of this that happened here near University Drive and Hope Mill Road. That's the good news about what happened. The bad news is folks are going to be having to recover from this. The electricity has to be restored. In some cases, like over at this home, the home is going to have to be repaired. Downed trees are going to have to be removed. It's going to be quite some time, a couple of days at least, before everything in this neighborhood is somewhat back to normal. Any questions, guys?
Now, we'll check back with you, but thanks, Steve. And, I think Steve really made a good point when he spoke with that person, that it all happened within a couple of minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
And that just goes to show you how quickly the damage can happen, that those trees came down, that the power lines came down, that the telephone poles came down that quickly in just a 2-minute period.
Now we want to send it to our Steve Spraja, who's given us a sense of the damage over in Durham.
Yeah, Steve?
Mel, Sean, you were talking about Hope Valley. Let me try and set the scene for you. What you're looking at behind me right now is University Drive, just about 2808, number 2808. That's University Drive. A lot of damage here. The damage continues on in that direction, pretty much paralleling Hope Valley. And if you talk to the residents here, they say that the storm came through right here in this direction. Now, this is Oxford Street we're standing on right now. Let's take a walk up Oxford Street, and you'll be able to get a better feel for what happened. You can see that this also parallels Hope Valley, and the storm came ripping on through here. About just after 6 o'clock, it came spinning out of the skies, west, indicating that they had Doppler indications that they had some kind of tornadic activity. You had large trees that went down here, obviously coming down, snapping into homes and things like that. We've talked to a number of residents who said they got very little warning. One resident we talked to said the rain started to come sideways against her house, and she didn't even wait for a tornado warning. She knew that when the rain was coming sideways, the wind was picking up like that, she had problems, and she got to her safe spot. She got to some shelter. The storm came through here very quickly. Not a particularly wide path for this storm, but certainly wide enough to do significant damage, knocking down power lines, cutting off electricity. At one end, at the 2800 block of where Hope Valley is by University Drive, police have shut it down there, and about another mile down the other end of the road, they've also shut it down. They're not letting any traffic in here right now because they've got down lines, they've got down power poles, they've got down trees, they've got a lot of cleanup that's going to be doing. Residents still coming out trying to take a look at the damage. They're a little bit stunned by what happened. Earlier today, the storms that came through produced nothing but heavy rain, and a lot of folks were thinking maybe that's all we were going to get out of this. But just after 6 o'clock, things changed, and things changed rather radically. That system that Wes was talking about began producing tornadic type activity, and when it did, things started to go awry. You can see a fella who wearing a hard hat right now, obviously coming down to check some of the damage with one of the utility crews trying to figure out what needs to be done.
Hey guys,
if we
need to stay back out from up under these power lines. Y'all need to stay out of the power lines up under here.
This fella here with the hard hat, obviously a utility worker, warning some of the kids who've coming by that they need to get away from those down power lines right now. They don't seem to understand that this could be a dangerous type situation. Let's listen in for a moment, see what he's saying. He's basically telling the kids they've got to get away from those power lines. If we look over here to Michael's right, you can see the path of the storm continued on in this direction. Residents were rather stunned by all of that had happened. I'm going to talk to this one fella here. We had chatted with him a bit earlier off camera, and I'd like to get a little more perspective from him now. Sir, what is your name?
My name is Ritas Vilgalis.
Okay. Ritas, tell us what you recall when the storm came ripping on through.
Well, we just noticed that it was the winds were getting pretty strong, and it was raining, hard, as hard as it's been. But mostly, it looked ominous, and we went down into our basement, and when we came out, we could see that some of these trees had come out. We live just on the back side of these houses here, so as you see, all the trees got blown in that direction.
And we're basically talking that this storm pretty much paralleled not University, but rather Hope Valley.
It looks, yeah. It seems, we live right on Hope Valley Road. It looks like all these trees just went right by here. I mean, all the wind went right by here.
When the storm came ripping on through, did you have any kind of advance warning? Had you been watching television or listening to the radio?
Yeah, we've been watching radar. We've been watching radar periodically, but we didn't expect anything. So it was just when the wind picked up, and of course our cell phones got messages that there was a tornado warning. So we went straight down. But it was right before 6:30. It seemed like it was right before they issued the warning. So, but they, of course.
Sometimes those electronic warnings are just a tad behind what's happening in real life, but you were alert enough to be able to get to that basement. How many times in the past have you actually done something like that?
If we see strong winds, we'll go down. We don't take chances.
So you've had a little bit of experience with this, but never anything that actually turned into a real tornado.
No, nothing. Well, if it was a tornado, yeah, this is pretty shocking. We've had a lot of events where a lot of trees came down, but nothing like this. Because you can see all the neighbors' trees are even worse. I mean,
was there any damage to your home, sir?
Nope. Fortunately, all the large trees on our property fell outward into the woods adjacent to our house. So hopefully there's not too much to clean up. But,
you and other neighbors kind of walking around. Are you assessing the damage? You're looking for folks to try and help, or what?
No, we're just assessing damage. I think everybody's kind of stunned, and just wanted to get out before it got dark and see what happened.
Thank you very much for talking with us. We appreciate that. And that is a key point. It is going to start getting dark soon. So the folks who are wandering around here on the streets right now are going to have some troubles because they're going to run into debris or run into lines that they might not be able to see. So they've really got to get off the streets and let the officials who do this kind of thing, who handle these kind of situations, handle it. There's a lot of cleanup that's going to have to be done right now in this area on University Drive and along Hope Valley Drive, Hope Valley Road. You're going to see that through the next day or two. And also, as that young man indicated, was this a tornado or not? That's a question that obviously will have to be answered by the National Weather Service. Wes and other meteorologists, they issued that tornado alert. They saw something on the Doppler radar which indicated that it was spinning around. Whether it actually touched down on the ground, we don't know. Whether it was just, hanging halfway down to the ground, whether it's straight line winds, that's something the meteorologists will have to answer. What we can tell you right now is whatever came through here certainly did a lot of damage. The good news in all of this, if there can be good news, is that nobody was hurt that we've been able to determine. Nobody was injured as a result of this. People took shelter. They got to their safe spots. They were able to do what they had to do, but they've now got quite a mess to clean up. Reporting live from Durham, I'm Steve Sprazier, WNCN News.
All right. Thank you, Steve, for that update there in Durham. I tell you what, one of the best things that guy coming down the street saying, stay away from those power lines. Right now we don't have reports of injuries, but that could change if people go near those power lines.
Especially as the sun goes down, folks. If you're outside, you don't know what you're going to be walking up into, so be careful. Again, this storm started in Durham for our viewing area about a little over an hour ago. You've seen some of the damage with our Steve Sprazier. We want to send it now to our Justin Quisenberry, who's also in front of some damage. Justin, what exactly are you seeing in your area of Durham?
We've just arrived on the scene at Wawa Avenue, that's just off of Chapel Hill Road, and take a look at this large limb that's come off of a tree here on Wawa Avenue. You can see that it just split from the base of the tree. And this isn't the only tree that is down on this property. The homeowner tells me that just over here, you can see that a large pine tree also went down and took some bushes with it. They are without power here. If you look over here, you see a crew has arrived on the scene to try to tackle that. This utility crew is here trying to fix the problem. The homeowner described this transformer up here as looking like the 4th of July. So many sparks coming off of it. So you get a sense that a number of people out in this community now are without power after this storm came through this evening. And I asked her to describe the storm as it came through. She said she was waiting for that freight train sound, but she said it sounded more like the little engine that could. And that little engine did cause some damage out here. Back to you guys.
The little engine that could certainly did, especially in Durham. Justin, thank you.